Welcome back, my duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. It is Monday, so it's time to start off a brand new week with another deck profile. And today, we actually received an email from one duelist named Marco that wanted an update on my competitive Ojama side swap build from last year. Now, it was a very fun deck. I played it a little differently than I would now. And just real quick, Marco, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but you don't need to buy me the coffee unless you actually enjoy the deck list. So here goes. Hopefully you like this. Now, I did keep the side swap. One second, let me straighten that out just a smidge more. I kept the side swap technique because, again, it feels very fun to me. It reminds me of very early Yu-Gi-Oh! For me. We went ahead and we changed immediately the first skill. I'm not using polymerization anymore. We're going to go with a fusion party. This way we can go ahead and once per duel discard one card in order to act that effect as a polymerization. Essentially, this is like carrying a fourth polymerization in our build. But with the Ojama magic, it's got a wonderful interaction that allows us to actually go ahead and feed into the second fusion by bringing us all three fusion materials that we need to do it. So it allows us to go into a quick Night King real quick. And again, I think that that's something that you might appreciate. Now, the monster lineup, guys, is going to be much the same as it was last May. Unless we end up getting pink or some other support cards, a lot of this deck is going to feel very familiar. So like the first thing we start off with is 2 copies Chiron the Mage. Good solid 4-star, 1800 attack value, great once per turn effect. That effect is that you can discard a spell card to target a spell trap the opponent controls and destroy it. So again, normally you guys see me play like a lot of Cosmic Cyclones. Well, Chiron is my Cosmic Cyclone today. He's just going to do what he wants to do. Also, last time I want to say the deck was 21 cards. I want to say we did 22 today. Next up, you got to have some Ojamas. I'm going to be running 2 of each of the ones I'm going to be running. So we're going to be running 2 blacks, 2 blue, 2 green, 2 yellow. And the reason for it is, again, we want to be able to set up 2 full play sets so that the Ojama Magic play works as often as possible. And then blue instead of red, because when this is destroyed by battle instead of the graveyard, you can add 2 Ojama cards from the deck to the hand. Guess what, guys? It says cards. It could totally be spells. It could be monsters. It could be whatever you want it to be. So it could be a copy of Ojama Magic and the Ojama country. So again, it does help us set up real quick. And if you do that, that's like a quick add 3 to your hand, plus you're gonna, add 2 to your hand off 1, thins down the deck a little faster. And then, you're just gonna activate field spell. Once you've activated field spell, you're gonna pitch magic to bring back blue, because that's gonna be a thing that's possible. You're gonna generate blue back to the field while generating a play, full flight of 3 Ojamas out of the deck. So the interplay really helps, even though I did kind of go past my rule of just trying to play as close to 20 as possible. And the reason is it's just kind of solid. It works. Going into the spells, we're not going to use all 3 of our 3 limits. Instead, we're only going to use 2 copies of Book of Moon. This is what I did the first time around. It was kind of goofy. Play tested this over the weekend. This works still. So we went with it. In fact, I think all the spells are the same. I believe we were using 2 copies of Fusion Weapon. Maybe it was 3 last time. We're going to be using 2 this time. 2 feels right. 2 showed up enough. And then again, I just want to talk this over with you guys. If you guys know your Ojama stats, then you guys know that. And if you give me half a second, I'll just pull them. We can talk about them right now. We know that the king is 0 by 3, and we know that the knight is 0 by 25. What this is going to do is it's going to give us 15 by 45 or 4,000 respectively. And with a stat flop from the country, those stats inverts. This is going to hit as strong as a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and this is going to hit as hard as Obelisk the Tormentor. So again, no real reason not to use the fusion weapon, because it opens you up to some big plays later. And again, helps this deck move just a bit faster. Next, you do want to be playing 2 main boarded copies of Country. The way this field spell works, once per turn, send an Ojama card from hand to grave. When due, special summon Ojama from grave to field. While you control an Ojama, stat flip all monsters on the field. So again, we do the thing with blue. Blue comes back. The 0 and the 1,000 flip. He's 1,000 points in attack mode now. And if you're fighting against some crazy tech monsters, some of them just don't have defense values. So this is going to work for us. It's definitely going to put the opponent off their game. And it's going to work. And again, Ojama, 2 copies when this is sent from hand or field. Field matters too. If you want to try to bluff the opponent, throw it in the back row, see if you can bust out their breaker effect. Maybe they got Chiron. Obviously, it's not going to work so well with Cosmic Cyclone. Add 1 each of green, yellow, and black from deck to hand. Good stuff. 3 copies of Polymerization. If you guys are worried about playing 4 copies of Polymerization, let me be honest with you, okay? Every one of these cards down here feeds into Chiron's effect. And just because these are the 2 optimal plays for the Fusion Party doesn't mean that you can't pop off any one of these other spells instead. You just got to keep that in mind while you're doing the playthrough. You get this shuffled, you run through it a couple of times, everything just makes sense. Last card we want to run, this is what brings it up to 22, is 1 copy Jar of Avarice. You're not always going to play these super elongated matches, but doing Ojama loops with Ojama and the Fusion Party and maybe going into a king, that's going to generate a lot of cards in your discard quick. And the Jar of Avarice is going to let you take 5 cards. It doesn't matter if they're monsters, spells, or traps, or say, I don't know, recycling that Ojama Knight that they hit with Smashing, well, not Smashing Ground, but like Magical Mallet or Hammer Shot. That's what it is. Magical Mallet's totally a hand shuffle thing. But it will allow you to recycle anything, including your fusion monsters, and go back into doing some big plays. It also gives you a single draw after the effect. And again, you can only activate 1 of these per turn, but hey, we're only going to run 1. So when you have it, run it. This is the main deck. Again, it's just a slight update. It's ever so slight. It's really just like a skill. Maybe one of the spells has changed. It's because I'm doing this from memory. Maybe one of the spells has changed number. Again, I think I was running the fusion weapon at 3 maybe. And I know I wasn't running Jar of Avarice then. So just real quick, screenshot and notes, or screenshot or notes with a pause, and just I'll be right back in a second with the rest. So uno momento. All right, we are going to start with the extra deck fusion monsters. So real quick, it's going to be 1 copy of King and 2 Knights. The reasoning here is Knight is easier to make, King is a little harder. You should be able to fuse twice in a game. If you do a Knight into a King or you do 2 Knights, either way, you should be able to collapse up all the zones on your opponent's side of the field. When these are special summoned, when these are played, you get to choose up to Knight is 2 zones and King is 3 unused monster zones on the opponent's side of the field, and those zones can no longer be used. So really, this could be an actual death sentence in this game right now, just because it is very hard to recover when you don't have the ability to place monsters on the field. And because we have the Ojama countries, remember, these guys get very aggressive very quickly. And through that aggression, they really do set up to really just put the opponent into an early loss and to move on to games 2 and 3 later. We do run a Waking the Dragon in our side deck, so we do run non-Ojama monsters. Those Ojama monsters will be Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, because normally speaking, this boy is our strongest fusion monster in the game. One I know for a fact I wasn't running quite yet back then was the Destiny and Dragoon. I do think I was running Cyberblade or something in this zone. Remember, he can be special summoned. He does get to spot, destroy, and do damage. Also, he's immune to the stat flip, guys. He's 3,000 by 3,000. So it does make a lot of sense to have him in here. And then last but not least, TI's Restrict. 1,000 Eyes Restrict is going to help you slow down the game if it has to happen. And be the only one that can do any attacking while he's up. So again, it is one of the more technical plays. It is also harder to worm out of later. So it is what it is. The side deck requires a skill card still. So we do have the ability to change the way the entire deck works. This time we will be using the Land of Ojamas. I actually think that this is how we did this last time, except we used Palaminization instead. Um, we're going to be using the Land of the Ojamas. Again, all this is this is going to start in your field zone, face down, and at the start of the duel, flip it over. All it is we're going to start with the Ojama country, and it's going to try to get us to go a little bit faster, which is good because we're banking on 3 copies of Polymerization in main board anyway. Next card, beautiful card. We didn't have this one back then. Dahlgren, the Mad Flame Kaiju. So this guy is just phenomenal. Normally, this would be, again, just crazy. Why would you play this unless you were going into Thousand Eyes Restrict and you wanted to be able to take their monster that's technical, turn it into something that equals big equip power for you? Well, you wouldn't. So instead, you want to play the Ojama country. You want to make sure that the country is going to start and play with 2 copies backup, and you're going to play Dahlgren. This way, you can take off one of the monsters that might be a threat on your opponent's side of the field. And remember, we have an Ojama. This guy's stat flipped. He has 1,200 attack value. Okay? Just go back up to the night real quick and remember, he's at 25, possible 4,000, with the king starting at 3K going up to 45. Okay? Flame Mad Kaiju is out of his league against these monsters, and it could eventually just cause game scenario right then and there. The next 2, I'm playing them as one-ofs. Honestly, though, I think this depends on your local meta. You might just go double on one of them and exclude the other. So those 2 cards are going to be the Lost Wind and the Mind Crush. Again, personally, running as ones. Either one is great as 2. And again, if everybody in your local area, the event that you're trying to take this to, if you know how the meta has settled, the Mind Crush might be the better play over the Lost Wind. And then likewise, maybe the Lost Wind is what's going to help you longer by taking away effects. So that's up to you guys. And then, of course, the 1 copy Waking the Dragon. You guys got to remember, too, this is another route to the Ojama King. So it's not just Blue Eyes, Destiny End, and Restrict that get to play off this. Any of your extra deck cards can just skip the fusion process and get straight to the field if this gets banished or destroyed from the field. And again, that's fantastic news. And maybe you don't have an Ojama. Maybe you're in game 3. Maybe you just need to outpower your opponent, and for some reason they're going to have... There would be no reason for you to play the Blue Eyes Ultimate. You could play Dahlgren, but that's a terrible example because, again, if you could just play Blue Eyes Ultimate, why wouldn't you? So this is the deck. Again, this was requested by Marco. Marco, I hope that you enjoy this. Again, thank you for making such a wonderful request. It was definitely due for an update. It's slightly updated, but again, it wasn't a lot of updating that needed to happen here. So enjoy this. Let me know how you do in the event. And everybody, if you guys enjoyed this too, support the channel, like, comment, sub. You could buy me a coffee too if you enjoyed this. But remember, that's always just optional. That's just when we do extra good and you guys really, really want to show your support. Other than that, you guys just enjoy your day. Have a wonderful one. I hope to see you guys again on Wednesday. We've got a beautiful deck that's been submitted to us, and we're going to cover it, and we're going to do like a little before and after action. So if that's something else you're into, check back. Again, remember, you guys could vote from the Speed Duel Spotlight to see if those other 2 deck ideas are something that you guys want to see. And see you later, guys.